You're not afraid of losing him. You're afraid of losing the little worth you believe you have. That's the part no one told you. And that's why you hold on so tightly. You feel that if he leaves, something inside you confirms an old verdict. I'm not enough. That sentence has hunted you for years, and every relationship becomes silent proof of it. It doesn't matter if things are good. You're always waiting for the blow, always waiting for the change in tone, always waiting for the abandonment that hasn't even happened yet. And the worst part, your body reacts as if it already has. Tight chest, anxiety stealing your breath. You pretend to be calm, but you reread every message, analyze every pause, interpret every silence as a warning of tragedy. And deep down, the question you avoid is the one that matters most. What if your fear of losing someone is exactly what makes you lose yourself first? And what if the real threat isn't him, but something in you that still hasn't healed? You think the problem is love, but the problem is the fear you placed inside it. Napoleon Hill said fear is a silent thief. It steals your peace before it steals anyone else. And that's exactly what happens to you. You suffer before danger arrives. You feel loss before it exists, and you live as if every relationship already has an expiration date. This fear isn't about the other person. It's about the relationship you have with yourself. You measure your worth through someone else's interest. If they pull away, you collapse. If they lean in, you breathe. It's like your self-esteem has an owner, and it's never you. Hill called this emotional slavery. You grew up believing love equals safety, but you turned safety into surveillance. Everything becomes a sign. Everything becomes a threat. A delay becomes abandonment. A dry response becomes rejection. A silence becomes proof that it's happening again, and your body goes into alert mode. Fear pushes you to two extremes. Either you cling too much, or you shut down too fast, always afraid to lose, always afraid to be replaced, always afraid to be forgotten. You spend your life trying to prevent an ending and never notice how that keeps you from truly beginning. Hill taught that fear creates mental images, images as strong as facts. Your brain believes them, your body reacts to them, your anxiety feeds them, and your life starts revolving around them. You don't live real love. You live the love your mind has distorted. This pattern is exhausting, and you know it, because you always give more, always try harder, always overextend yourself, as if you had something to prove, as if you were always one step away from being abandoned, even when nothing is happening. And the worst part is, you normalized it. You normalized expecting to be left, normalized believing you must earn love, normalized thinking love is something someone gives to you, instead of something you already carry inside. Hill said that those who fear losing lose first, lose themselves, lose their peace. This is the part that hurts to admit, but this is where the diagnosis becomes clear. You're not afraid of losing love. You're afraid of losing control, because you think control is the only way to keep someone, but control keeps no one. It only breaks you from the inside and makes you think that this is what love is. And there is something even deeper. You confuse attention with affection, interest with love, presence with security. But none of these guarantee anything. None of these prevent abandonment. None of these heal the old fear. And that is why the pattern repeats. So the question that opens the next cycle is simple and brutal. If fear already controls your love, what is left of you inside the relationship? And what are you really trying to save? Because it doesn't look like it's the relationship. It looks like a version of you still terrified of being left. But what if this fear is lying to you? And what if it's not protection, but prison? There's an illusion you never noticed. The illusion that if you love enough, no one will ever leave. It sounds beautiful, but it's false. This is what traps you. This is what scares you. This is what feeds your fear. Because you believe abandonment is always your fault. You think you can prevent loss by being perfect, replying fast, never showing insecurity, never asking for anything, always easy to love, always available. But that doesn't keep anyone. It only erases you. The illusion is thinking love is safe when you disappear, thinking love is stable when you turn into a shadow, thinking love lasts when you abandon yourself to avoid being abandoned. No one stays because you sacrifice yourself. No one loves you because you shrink. No one remains because you silently beg. That's not love. That's fear disguised as devotion. You confuse presence with promise. You think here today means here forever. You mistake attention for affection. You mistake silence for rejection. You think love is predictable, but human love was never predictable, and that's why you live on high alert. Because your mind demands guarantees no one can give. There is another illusion even worse. You believe that if you lose someone, you lose everything. You lose meaning, you lose worth, you lose identity, as if this person were your last chance to be loved, as if God had only one plan, as if your story ended there. But here's the brutal truth. You're not afraid of being alone. You're afraid of facing yourself when you are. Afraid of silence, afraid of mirrors, afraid of realizing you built your whole life on someone else and not on you. You call it love, but it's dependence, emotional addiction, attachment to the illusion of stability, even when that stability never existed. You cling to what hurts because you believe losing is worse than suffering, and that is the greatest illusion of all. Here's the counterintuitive truth. You're not afraid of losing real love. You're afraid of losing the love you created in your mind, the ideal version, the safe version, the perfect version, the version that never existed, and that's why everything collapses, because you're trying to save something that isn't real. And now comes the question that opens the next revelation. If the love you're trying to protect isn't real, what is God trying to show you by letting this fear surface now? And why is He inviting you to face the truth before facing loss? Because maybe this isn't an ending. Maybe it's exposure. Maybe it's deliverance. But we still need to understand the spiritual reason behind this. If this story is opening something inside you, click the button and subscribe now. Here, you never walk alone. Every video explains why you suffer and what God is trying to teach you through it. You deserve deep answers, not emotional crumbs. You deserve healing, not fear. Subscribe and keep walking this journey with us. There comes a point where psychology walks you to the door, but only God can open it. You understand the origin of your fear, but understanding alone changes nothing. And this is exactly where Isaiah 41:10 steps in. Do not fear, for I am with you. It's a promise, not a suggestion. It's God saying you are not fighting alone. You thought you had to hold someone to stay standing, but God has always been the only one who never let go of you. The fear of losing a love made you believe you had no support, but that was a lie from pain, a lie from old memories, a lie from repeated insecurity. And God exposes that lie with one sentence: I will strengthen you. It's not forced emotional strength, not think positive. It's strength from the inside out. Strength that rewires your identity, strength that restores your stability, strength no human relationship can provide, because only God reaches the place where fear is born. You look back and realize something. The abandonment you fear so much didn't destroy you. You didn't die from it. You rose again after it. You kept living, kept feeling, kept loving. That alone is proof God was there all along. Fear says, you won't survive this again. But God says, I will help you. Fear demands human guarantees, but God offers presence. Fear screams loss, but God whispers purpose. Fear weakens your identity, but God restores it. Isaiah 41:10 is not a verse to memorize. It's a spiritual diagnosis. It reveals that your fear isn't about the love you have for someone else, but about the love you still struggle to believe God has for you. And when that love reaches you, something shifts. The weight lifts, the hypervigilance softens, and you start breathing again. There is something subtle here. Your fear isn't spiritual, it's emotional. But the healing is spiritual, because only God can undo beliefs you formed at 7 years old. Only God can teach you that your worth doesn't depend on someone staying. Only God can remind you that you don't have to beg for what He already placed in you. And that reminder sets you free. The revelation is simple and deep. You're not afraid of losing someone. You're afraid of losing yourself if they leave. But God says that will never happen because He sustains you, He holds you, He strengthens you, and He lifts you every time fear tries to pull you down. So the question that opens the next chapter is this: if God is with you, why do you still believe you need someone to stay whole? And what changes, practically, when you realize you no longer need to beg for safety? The answer to that reshapes your love life, reshapes your faith, and reshapes you. The first practical step is simple, but brutally powerful. You need to interrupt the mental cycle before it destroys you. It's what Napoleon Hill called breaking the rhythm of fear. You don't control another person, but you do control the story your mind repeats. And your fear repeats old memories as if they were prophecies. So you do one thing: you name the fear before it becomes truth. When anxiety rises, you say softly, "This is fear, not reality." It sounds small, but it's a turning point, because fear loses strength when exposed. Illusion dissolves when named, and you return to the present. You return to yourself. The second step is spiritual, but extremely practical. When fear tightens, you don't try to be strong. You do exactly what Isaiah 41:10 commands. You release the weight. You drop the control. You breathe deep and say, "Lord, stay with me now." It isn't a long prayer. It's a surrender, a real request. You admitting you don't need to fight alone. You telling fear, "I don't depend on guarantees." You remembering that God is near when no one else is. And something shifts inside you. You feel space. The goal of these two actions is one: stop the pattern that makes you beg for love. You must recover your identity while you feel fear, not after, because fear doesn't vanish on its own. It fades when you create a new pathway inside you. A pathway not born from insecurity, but from awareness. And yes, it will feel strange at first. Your body will resist. Your mind will protest. It will say, "This won't work." It always says that right before it works, because it's afraid of losing control. And control is the prison you're breaking now. That's what truly scares your fear. Pay attention to what happens afterward. Your chest opens. Your breathing slows. The hypervigilance softens, the internal drama lowers its volume, and you realize something shocking. You didn't die without a reply. You simply breathed. These steps look small, but they're not. They're spiritual interruptions, declarations of identity, direct hits to the fear system, choices that return the power to you and remove fear from the throne. This is how healing begins. This is how you change the destiny of your love life. Napoleon Hill said, "Fear cannot survive action." And God says, "I will strengthen you." When you combine both, something new is born. Your mind stops dominating you. Your heart stops sabotaging you. This is the beginning of freedom. But there is still one piece missing, a final step that completes the process, a step that flips the switch for good, a step that touches the exact place where abandonment installs itself, because there is a wound you still haven't touched. And in the next chapter, we go straight into it. No softening, no hiding. Now, if you drifted off, come back here with me. Pay attention to this, because what I'm about to tell you is the most important part of your healing. Fear doesn't disappear with strength. It disappears with awareness. And you need to face something you've always avoided. The fear isn't about him, it's about you. This next strategy is deeper. You're going to do something you've never done. You're going to watch the exact moment fear arrives. The precise second your chest tightens, the instant panic grows, and instead of running toward the person, you're going to run toward yourself. That's where healing begins. Every time fear rises, you ask, "What do I think he can take from me right now?" That question exposes the core wound. It exposes the hidden need. It exposes the imagined loss. It exposes the childish belief still ruling your reactions. It exposes the abandonment that isn't his. It's yours. Napoleon Hill said every fear comes from an unexamined vulnerable point. Your vulnerable point is the idea that someone can take your worth, take your identity, take your security, take your peace. That's why any small shift destabilizes you, because you treat your worth like emotional salary, and someone else is holding the paycheck. The strategy is to dismantle that lie, and you dismantle lies with confrontation. You breathe, place your hand on your chest, and say, "My worth is not in danger." Say it until your body believes it. Say it until your mind stops. Say it until fear loses control. You're not trying to control someone else. You're taking back control of what fear does inside you. It's different. It's more mature. It's deeper. It's real. It's the beginning of emotional autonomy. It's the beginning of real self-love. And then something powerful happens. Fear gets smaller. Not because he replied, not because anyone reassured you, but because you reassured yourself. You became your own ground, your own safety, your own stability. Notice the shift. The fear of losing someone loses power. When you realize you should never have lost yourself for someone, anxiety releases its grip. Your mind stops rushing. Your heart finds rhythm again. You return to your center. You return to God. And this is where the final revelation begins. Because if fear no longer controls you, what else changes in your life, in your relationships, in the way you love, in the way you trust, in the way you exist? That answer ties everything together in the next chapter. You return to the beginning, the fear that trapped you, the tightness that ruled you, the feeling that you were about to lose everything. Now feels distant, feels smaller, feels exposed. Because you finally understood its root. You realized something essential. The fear was never about someone leaving. It was about you not knowing how to remain in yourself. And that has changed. It changed when you named the fear. Changed when you anchored yourself in God. Changed when you reclaimed your worth. Changed when you stopped begging for presence. Remember the beginning. The phone in your hand, the frozen breath, the rising internal drama. Now you know what that was. An echo of old pain, a conditioned reflex, not your identity, because the real you does not live on high alert, does not beg for stability, does not chase after proof of love. The real you is steady, aware, whole, strengthened by God. Isaiah 41:10 became more than a verse. It became ground, it became anchor, it became identity. You discovered God is not only with you, He sustains you when you feel like collapsing. He keeps you standing when fear crumbles. He strengthens you when anxiety rises. Healing did not come from control. It came from surrender. From the moment you said, "Lord, stay with me now." From the moment you stopped running toward someone and started running inward and toward God, that's when everything shifted. That's when fear lost power. And now you see what you couldn't see before. You don't need someone to stay for you to stay whole. You don't need human guarantees to have peace. You don't need fragile promises to feel safe. You have God as your foundation, awareness as your compass, self-love as your protection. And that changes everything. If someone stays, beautiful. If someone leaves, you remain. You remain in yourself. Remain steady, remain aware, remain loved by God, remain whole. And that is freedom. Redemption is not never feeling fear again. It's knowing what to do when it comes. It's recognizing the lie before it controls you. Remembering who you are before you panic. Trusting God is with you before you think you've lost anything. It's a new cycle, a new identity, a new emotional life. And so you close this chapter, not as someone afraid of losing love, but as someone who discovered she will never lose herself again. And that is the beginning of everything. The beginning of peace. The beginning of maturity. The beginning of your spiritual freedom. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to our channel. Here, every story reveals why you suffer and what God is teaching you through it. Psychology to understand yourself. Spirituality to understand the purpose behind it. And for you who made it to the end of this video, comment, "I choose the peace God gave me." May this declaration become the spiritual doorway to a new cycle in your life.